Spaceflight enthusiasts have had no shortage of excitement in recent days, and today's video will cover the three most significant events from the past few days. We'll begin with the launch of the Atlas V rocket on a classified mission called NROL 107. We'll also explore an interesting discovery made by the James Webb Space Telescope, which detected carbon compounds in the atmosphere of Exoplanet. Finally, we'll conclude with the launch of the Chinese Long March 6A rocket, which carried 3 satellites into space. On September 10th at 12:47 Universal Time, the Atlas V rocket took off from Launch Complex SLC-41 at the Cape Canaveral Space Force Station.
And liftoff of the United Launch Alliance Atlas V rocket, carrying Silent Barker NROL 107 for the National Reconnaissance Office and the United States Space Force.
The rocket was in its most powerful configuration, known as 551. The first number, in this case 5, indicates the diameter of the payload fairing in meters. The second 5 signifies the number of solid rocket boosters attached to the first stage, and the third, 1, indicates the number of engines on the second stage. For this mission, an upgraded version of the RL-10C engine, known as RL-10C11, was used, which offers a better thrust-to-weight ratio.
And we're throttling up on the R-180s, still seeing
NROL 107 was a joint project between the United States Space Force and the National Reconnaissance Office, and therefore there is very limited information available about it. Even the live broadcast of the launch was terminated shortly after the payload fairing was jettisoned, following the standard procedure for NRO launches. However, indirect hints suggest what might have been on board. As part of the NROL 107 mission, with the cover designation Silent Barker, a very powerful Atlas V configuration was used. This indicates that the payload was destined for a challenging orbit. Based on the available data, it appears that the mission could have been headed for an orbit located approximately 7,000 kilometers above geostationary orbit. Under the rocket's aerodynamic fairing, there were likely several satellites that would form the foundation of a new satellite network. Their mission should involve locating and tracking satellites from other countries that are moving in the vicinity of geostationary orbit. There might be 3 satellites in total, but their exact numbers, mass, and capabilities are officially undisclosed. We occasionally showcase beautiful images captured by the James Webb Space Telescope. However, this observatory does much more than taking pretty pictures. It conducts observations that may not seem visually striking, but are immensely valuable to scientists. Today we'll discuss one such recent discovery. This is an artistic representation of exoplanet K218b, located approximately 120 light-years away from Earth. K218b is 8.6 times more massive than Earth, and orbits within the so-called habitable zone of its star. Scientists speculate that it might be a Hycean exoplanet, a type of planet with a high proportion of hydrogen in its atmosphere and an ocean-covered surface. The James Webb Space Telescope observed exoplanet K218b when it transited across its star's disk from our perspective. Some of the starlight passed through the planet's atmosphere, leaving behind spectral signatures. The NIRISS and NIRSPEC instruments aboard the Webb telescope, known for their exceptional sensitivity, were able to determine the chemical compounds present in this exoplanet's atmosphere. The data analysis revealed the presence of carbon compounds, specifically methane and carbon dioxide, in the atmosphere. What's even more intriguing is the possibility of the existence of a substance called dimethyl sulfide, or DMS. On Earth, DMS is produced solely by the activity of living organisms, primarily phytoplankton in the oceans. It's worth noting that the presence of DMS on the exoplanet is not confirmed with absolute certainty, and further observations are planned to either validate or refute this finding. Even if DMS were found on K218b, it wouldn't automatically prove the presence of life there. Many unknown factors, such as the environmental conditions on the exoplanet, need to be considered. Nonetheless, these discoveries hold significant scientific value, as they contribute to our understanding of the potential for life beyond Earth. The James Webb Space Telescope's unparalleled sensitivity plays a crucial role in this search. On September 10th, China marked its 42nd launch of the year. The Long March 6A rocket took off from the Taiyuan Satellite Launch Center. The Long March 6A is an upgraded version of the Long March 6, featuring two YF-100 engines on its first stage and the addition of 4 solid rocket boosters to increase payload capacity. The Long March 6A had its debut last year, and this was only its third launch. This 50-meter tall rocket is capable of delivering a payload weighing 4.5 tons to a sun-synchronous orbit at an altitude of 700 kilometers, and so far, it has succeeded in each of its missions. During the current mission, the rocket carried a trio of Yaogan 40 satellites. At the time of launch, it was unclear whether these satellites were intended for civilian or military purposes. However, recent information suggests that they are more likely to serve military functions, particularly in electronic signals intelligence. This means the satellites would capture electromagnetic communication signals from Earth and determine their sources. Thank you for watching today's episode of Spaceflight News. The next episode will be released on Friday, September 15th. To make sure you don't miss it, you can simply subscribing.